she is. So
Okay.
good for you, NJ.
So can you hear me, Laura?
We certainly can, and we are thrilled that all of those little mechanisms behind the scenes have glued themselves together so we get to see and experience your fabulous wisdom and magic for all of us. So okay. I'm going to go off stage and leave you to them.
Okay. So, so I have the privilege of talking to you often when I come to activator calls about different aspects of SheEO's core values. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about radical generosity, and specifically an aspect of it that many of us say we have trouble with. So first of all, SheEO is founded on the principle of the gift economy, meaning we support one another by having resources in flow, rather than a system of accumulation or the ledger sheet. I give you this and you give me that. And Indigenous people have practiced this gift economy for thousands of years, understanding that the point of gifts is meant to create relationships, and they're meant to be, the gift is meant to be in motion. I give you something and you pass it on, and I am in relationship with that other person that you've given it to. So therefore we have a network of relationships. And most of the people in SheEO are really, really good at giving. We think of radical generosity as the giving part. But I'd like us to think today about how to give is also to receive, and to ask is to offer a gift, which is to allow the other person to be generous. So when we actually ask, we're offering a gift. That's the part I want to talk about today. And really, I consider this like the cycle of breathing. We are always in a cycle of giving and receiving. We breathe in to receive oxygen from plants, and we breathe out to give carbon dioxide to nature. And if we only had half of that cycle, we wouldn't be alive. If we're only taking or we're only giving, neither of those things work very well. So it's really about how do we do both. And in this community, as you know, we practice asking as well as giving, so that we get comfortable in participating in the gift economy, so that we're in natural flow of giving and receiving, being connected to one another in this radically generous way. But many, many, many of us talk about how we have difficulty asking and difficulty receiving. And I want to share something that a venture sent to me last night, actually. I've been working with her a lot about asking and receiving. And she sent me an article that said, this could be a trauma response, the difficulty of receiving and asking. Because we have learned that through our past experiences, that it's not necessarily safe, that the people who were supposed to be there for us were not necessarily there for us when we needed them. And so we've learned to say, I'm just going to do it by myself. I don't need anyone. I'm not going to ask. And we have shielded our hearts from abuse, neglect, betrayal, and disappointment. And so the practice of asking and the practice of receiving, I believe, is a profoundly important and healing action. And when I was thinking about this today, I haven't thought about this in 40 years. It was early on in my relationship when I was very young, and the guy I lived with, we went to the store to buy a comforter, and I know he loves the color blue. So I go straight to so there were these beautiful comforters, and one of them was blue. And we go up to the counter, and we're about to pay for this thing. And he turns to me and he looks at me and he goes, is this the one you really want? I want to give you the one you want, not the one you think I want. And I really wanted the rust-colored one. I didn't want the blue one. And I sat there, I'll never forget, this woman is about, the cashier, and I'm sobbing. I start to cry. I'm crying and crying because of this. because I am about to receive something that I really, really want. And the vulnerability of asking and receiving is a profound healing. But I'd like to talk to Michelle. How do you build the muscle of accepting help? Ask. Practice asking. Practice asking for something really, really, really small, and then notice that you get it, and it's okay, and that you're alive, and that the help is available. So the more that you practice, then the more it will be easier and easier. Yes, asking is so hard because it shows our vulnerability. We're taught that we should be able to, as people have put in the chat already, been able to take care of completely independent, and that's just a lie. We're interdependent. We cannot exist without one another. And in the asking, we experience our need, and that can be scary. Yeah, thank you. Someone's saying here, I was taught that asking can be rude. How can we disrupt our own anxiety not to ask? Yeah, make the choice to. So what I think about it is, think of it again as breathing. You have to breathe in, that's the receiving, and you have to breathe out, that's the giving. And the more that you can be in giving and receiving, then you're in the natural flow, right? So give and then receive. So if you keep, if you, I always say it's not a ledger sheet, but if you keep a little balance with it, it'll be easier to challenge yourself to ask. I've just given, now it's my turn to receive. Okay. How do you overcome the fear of facing the same negative outcomes you experienced when we asked for help when we were younger? You just have to do it. There was a book years and years ago called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And that's the best advice I've ever heard about fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And notice that it's different. So, Moira, are you coming on back? Yes, people are now putting in the chat about fear. Yep, there you are.
Yeah. So can I take a couple of questions from
Please.
you, MJ? When you look at the ventures, because you've been working so closely with them all, what have you noticed about their asking and giving, and what clues does that have for us?
I would say that they have the same kinds of challenges as the rest of us. What I'm seeing in the chat is pretty much what people experience. So much, the mindset piece of this, and now granted, this is what I'm interested in, but it is such an important aspect of what people go through on the journey at SheEO, both as ventures and as activators, I believe. Because we, again, as entrepreneurs, are trained to think we've got to figure it ourselves. We have to do everything ourselves. We have to end and deal with whatever our business is. And even getting people to understand from a business point of view that you can partner, that you can align with other people who are already doing parts of what you're doing that better than you are. And that's a really big thing, because we keep thinking we have to do it ourselves. And so I think the work that ventures do around this is no different than the rest of us. And we're going to get to see, for those who come to the venture session that's coming up, you're going to hear actually about a collaboration that I'm so thrilled that is hopefully that is being worked on right now among 3 ventures from Australia this year. So proof that you can collaborate. We can truly collaborate to do amazing things.
And MJ, when you think about SheEO as its own system, breathing in and out, have you got some clues for how those of us who are part of that DNA, how we can do that in a collective and supportive way?
Well, I think that the activator calls where people are practicing on when you're breaking into groups and really doing ask and gives, I think that's just really important and incredibly valuable. And as you're seeing in the chat here, it's such a big deal that people should be coming just to practice asking something little, something small, so that they can then get better and better at doing it when they really, really need it. So that would be my suggestion.
Thanks, MJ.
Yeah.
And very deep gratitude for you saying yes to us in your evening to be with us in our morning on the other side of the world, and especially in an environment where there's a lot of breathing in and breathing out that needs to be taking place right now on your home turf.
No question.
So thank you so much for being with us, and you've given us a practice that will keep us going for a very long time.